Which of following is not private law? Right again. English law is a valid answer.
Written arguments on the issues of law.
Perfect. Appellate briefs is the correct choice.
What is the definition of private law? Smart move. Regulates personal, social, and business relationships is an accurate answer.
The doctrine of stare decisis requires. Strong choice. Lower courts to follow established case law is the right answer.
Reasonable time, according to law, is.
Excellent choice. Has no exact definition is the right answer. The power of a court to decide a case.
Well done. Jurisdiction is the right choice.
An unenforceable contract will not be.
Nicely done. Upheld by a court of law is a solid answer. What law is enacted on a local level?
You're right. Ordinance is the correct answer. The federal trial courts are known as. Excellent. District courts is a brilliant choice. A dash is an offense against society. Well reasoned. Crime is the correct choice. Can getting a haircut be a contract?
Exactly. Yes, makes sense, and it is right choice.
Order confirmation is also called as. Nice selection. Sales acknowledgement is the correct and valid answer. The power to decide a case is termed. Valid point. Jurisdiction is true. A business run by one person is a. Well picked. Sole proprietorship is the correct answer. What is a law passed by government? Great job. Statute is the accurate answer. Avoidable contract is one which is. Bravo. Enforceable at the option of one party is the answer.
Laws grouped into an organized form.
You chose code, and it is correct. What is the highest source of law? Sharp thinking. Us Constitution is the right choice. Treating people fairly and equally. Correct. Justice is the right answer. What is meant by procedural law? On track. Rules that govern how substantive law is enforced is the correct answer. Tort is a fancy word for dash laws. Smart pick. Civil is the correct choice. Form of business owned by one person. Great thinking. Sole proprietorship is the right choice. The goal of employment law is to.
Correct response. Protect workers' rights is the most accurate answer.
South Africa's sources of law. Good thinking. All of the above is the right answer. What is law of sovereign command? Good job. Your answer, legal positivism, works well here. Classification of law dash except. Nice work. You chose sanction law and it is correct. Who determines if a law is valid? Right choice. A Supreme Court is the best answer. Avoid agreement is one which is. You got it. Your choice, not enforceable in a court of law, is right. What is a business with one owner? Clear logic. Your choice, proprietorship, is sound and 100% true.
The Indian Contract Act includes.
Solid response. English common law is a valid choice.
Any agreement enforceable at law. Valid point. Contract is true.
Which business lines are banned?
Great thinking. Trade in firecrackers is the right choice.
What is the purpose of tort law?
Good thinking. To compensate the injured party is the right answer.
Where did common law originate?
Well done. England is the right choice.
The heart of the golden rule is...
Right choice. Empathy is the best answer. What is your subject all about?
Perfect. Obligations and contracts is the correct choice.
A business must sell goods that. Good job. Your answer. Do what they are meant to do works well here. An agency may be terminated by. Excellent choice. All of these is the right answer.
Indian Contract Act is based on.
Sharp thinking. English common law is the right choice. What is the name of this unit? Smart move. Business law is an accurate answer. Who does consumer law protect? Exactly. Purchasers of products make sense, and it is right choice.
Dash is not following the law. Correct response. Illegal is the most accurate answer.
Another name for common law is. Right again. Case law is a valid answer.
What is the philosophy of law?
You're right. Jurisprudence is the correct answer. Trial courts decide matter of. Well reasoned. Fact is the correct choice. Mercantile law is also called. Great job. Business law is the accurate answer.
Business laws greatly affect.
You chose both businesses and consumers. And it is correct.
Religious law refers to dash.
Correct. Ethical and moral codes taught by religious traditions is the right answer.
Common law is determined by. Bravo. Courts is the answer. Statutory law is created by.
Solid response. Common law is a valid choice.
Common law is based on dash. You got it? Your choice customs of the people is right.
Criminal law is basically. Well picked. Public law is the correct answer. Federal, state, and local. Nice selection. 3 levels of law is the correct and valid answer.
The EPA creates what laws?
On track. Regulations is the correct answer.
Perjury is a crime against.
Smart pick. The government is the correct choice. Business name registration. Nicely done. A 3883 is a solid answer. The highest level of law. Nice work. You chose federal and it is correct.
Common law originated in.
Strong choice. England is the right answer.
Precedent is also called.
Excellent. Judicial decision is a brilliant choice.
A franchise is generally.
Clear logic. Your choice both A and B is sound and 100% true.
A change or modification. Solid response. Amendment is a valid choice.
Let the seller beware. Well picked. Let the seller beware is the correct answer.
Let the buyer beware. Nice selection. Caveat emptor is the correct and valid answer.
Law can be defined as
Correct. Rule of conduct and human relations is the right answer. Power of legislature.
on track. Enactment of law is the correct answer.
An ordinance is dash. Excellent. Legislation created by a town, city or county board is a brilliant choice. What is res judicata? Good thinking. Final order of the court is the right answer. What is a contract? Good job. Your answer all of the above works well here. Sources of law dash. Valid point. Fey legislation, case law, religious principles, customs is true. What is common law? You're right. A set of consistent rules for later courts is the correct answer. Role of executive. Smart move. Execution of law is an accurate answer. Common law is dash. Great thinking. Law made by judge decisions is the right choice. Contract refers to.
Exactly. An agreement enforceable by law makes sense, and it is right choice.
Role of judiciary. Clear logic. Your choice interpretation of law is sound and 100% true. What is a crime? Excellent choice. A social harm that the law punishes is the right answer. Full form of booba. Right choice. Choice. Bachelor of Business Administration is the best answer. A precedent law. Strong choice. Is determined by a court case is the right answer. Criminal law is. Correct response. Enacted to protect the public from harm is the most accurate answer. Equity is dash.
Right again. Fairness is a valid answer.
A boycott is. Nice work. You chose refusal to trade with certain firms, and it is correct. How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format. Perfect. Contact Narayan Changder is the correct choice.